Hello everybody and welcome. This is the first part of a video tutorial series where we will learn to draw and model in 3D so that we can take our 3D model and print it using the 3D printer. To do this, we're going to use a program called Autodesk Inventor. So this version of it is Autodesk Inventor Professional 2018. This is a free software that you can download. So if you want to follow at home, you can do that. If you're using a different version, they usually update them every year or so. That's okay. Most of the buttons stay in the same place, but once in a while they change where all of the buttons and the functions are. So you might need to look a little harder. So here's the opening screen that comes up when you load it. It usually takes a little while to load the program, so I've already preloaded it. Down on the bottom here, it'll show you some recent documents that you've already made. Up on the top, sort of middle top left up here, you can select some new parts and assemblies and whatnot. Or if you go to new, either here or here, you'll get this create new file window which pops up, which sort of shows you which type of file you want to make. So there's different versions of this program that we can use. So one is making a part. So this makes one solid part where every part of the part is all the same thing. So this is important for 3D printing because the 3D printer needs one part to print everything. We can also make an assembly. So what an assembly is if you want to put a whole bunch of parts together and see how they'll look or how they can move in 3D relative to each other. So if you wanted to model an engine or something like that, you could do that in this program just by making all of the parts and then adding them together into an assembly. We could also make a drawing if you wanted to, so a drawing of one part or an assembly of parts, and print that on a 2D sheet of paper. So if you wanted to, carry around a set of drawings on a factory floor, or if you're building a house and you want, some 2D plans or something like that. So what we're going to start with is this one up here called standard.ipt. This is a standard part. Just double click to start that. It's going to take a couple seconds to load because this is a pretty beefy program. Here we go. So the screen that you'll see at the beginning is just kind of blank, because it is just sort of looking into infinity in every direction. We don't have anything that we want to do yet. And just imagine trying to draw something in 3D with a 2D computer screen and a 2D mouse. This would be pretty tough, right? So how we have to use this program, we're going to start by making a 2D sketch. So making the 2D sketch, we can start on any of the sort of cardinal direction planes here. This is the flat plane. This is the one we want to start with, called the XZ plane, or XZ if you're Canadian. Click on that one, and then what shows up is a set of crosshairs to make our first 2D sketch on. So what I'm going to start with is a rectangle, because we're going to make the base of the box for this water piano project. Instead of selecting a 2-point rectangle, I'm going to select the 2-point center rectangle, and this centers the whole part on the origin here. This will be important later on. You'll see why. So you'll notice when I'm moving the mouse around, there's this yellow dot that follows the mouse until I get close enough to the origin, and then it snaps to it and it turns green. So if I move a little bit away, it'll snap to that green bit. What that means is that it's connecting to something that's already there. Right now we have nothing on here except this origin, this sort of imaginary 0, 0 space. So we're going to start it here, click once and drag it out. Now there's two ways that we could dimension this drawing and tell the box what size we want to make it. The first way is that we're just going to click once to make our box, and we're going to use this dimension tool up here. So click the dimension tool, click one of the sides here and pull this number over to the side so that we can see it. And then just type in the number. So the first dimension of our part is going to be 2.5. That's 2.5 inches. I'm going to zoom in a bit so that we can see. So the zooming is the middle button, the middle scroll pad, or scroll wheel, I guess you would call it. Okay, now we're still on the dimension tool here. I want to dimension this top one at 2.33 inches, which might seem a little obscure, but you'll see why we made it that size later. And at this point, that's the first shape that we want to make in 2D. So let's finish this sketch. And it'll pull us back to our sort of home view. So if you ever get lost, if you go scrolling all over the place and you lost your part, you have no idea what's going on, you can just hit home. It'll take you right back to where you left off. So the next part that we need to do is extrude this square. So the extrude function just basically takes your 2D shape and pulls it or pushes it in whichever direction you want it to go. So it automatically makes it 1 inch. We're not going to make that 1 inch. Let's change that dimension here to 0.125 inches because this is the bottom of our box that we're going to make. Alright, so now we have our first 3D part. If you want to play with the views a bit, what we could do is, that's the front view over here on the top right. That's back to our home view. We can look straight from the top. You can also hit the shift key and the middle scroll wheel, and you can freely rotate things. Now once again, this is a really easy way to get lost, so let's just go back home and we're right back to our same view. So now I want to make the sides to this, so what I need to do is make another 2D sketch. So let's select that top face there. We're going to use the same rectangle with the center point and click on the same origin basically, and we want to go all the way up to this top corner. Zoom out a little bit so you can see until that dot turns green again. So now we've just made another square on the top of our 3D part. We got to make another one, so in the middle again. So now I'm going to show you how to make a dimension the other way. So I've only clicked once in the middle and I've dragged it out a little bit into roughly the place I want it to go, and I'm just going to type in the numbers that I want it to be. So the first number is going to be 2.25 inches. Next, I'm going to hit the tab button. So if you hit tab, all of a sudden now I can start changing that second number. So that one's going to be 2.08. Then I hit enter. Voila. Now we have our box showing up exactly the sizes that we want it to do. This is sometimes easier than hitting the dimension tool because you can sort of do it all in one step. Okay, so that's the outline of the sides that we're going to make. Let's finish that sketch. And next up, we are going to extrude this part as well. So you noticed how the last time I extruded it, it already popped up 1 inch or whatever the size is that it's set to. And that's because there was only one part on file here so far. So the program knew, okay, there's only one sketch in there. We know that this is the part that needs to be extruded. So now we need to actually select which part of this we need to extrude. So we're going to select this outside bit here. And you can see it kind of pops up our 0.125 inches that it saved from last time. So let's change that to 2 inches. Hit OK, or hit enter to do OK. And there we go. We have the start of a box. So I'm going to leave this video off here and continue on in the second video.